All right, let's start again with parsing gerund phrases, participle phrases, and tense and auxiliaries. Now let's look at 3 sentences that contain gerund phrases. A gerund phrase always fills a noun phrase slot. Any noun phrase slot, not just complement slots. And like an infinitive phrase, a gerund can take a subject. But a gerund subject is in the genitive or possessive form. With gerunds, the ing suffix is regarded as the subordinating element. So let's parse. Now, these sentences don't have to be true, only grammatically correct. We'll discuss truth value in session 10 on semantics. So this sentence is not true. Gerunds make learning grammar fun. Gerunds is a noun. Make is a verb. Learning is a verb. It's subordinated by the ing. Grammar is a noun. And fun is an adjective. Moving from right to left, fun is an adjective phrase. It functions as an object complement. Let me show you how that works. Grammar is a noun phrase functioning as the direct object of the gerund learning. It's a verbal. It can take objects just like its present tense form would. So here we have a gerund phrase in a noun phrase slot functioning as the direct object of the verb make. So the verb make has a direct object and an object complement. It's a VC, and it's our main verb. It has present tense. So here's our predicate, our verb phrase functioning as predicate. Gerunds make learning grammar fun. No. Oh, and gerunds is our subject, noun phrase functioning as subject. So there's that inaccurate sentence, grammatically correct, but otherwise not. All right, let's look at another sentence with a gerund in it. Here's a sentence modified from the textbook with gerund phrases in both the noun phrase functioning as subject and the noun phrase functioning as the object of the preposition slots. A gerund phrase can fill any noun phrase slot. And this sentence does happen to be true. Writing example sentences is harder than killing time. Writing is a verb. It's a verbal because it's subordinated by the ing suffix. Example is a noun, but it's functioning as an adjective here. Sentences is a noun. Is a be verb. Harder, an adjective. Than, a preposition. Killing, another verb subordinated by the ing ending. And time is a noun. Okay, time is a noun phrase functioning as the direct object of the transitive verb killing, which is a gerund. So we have a gerund phrase in a noun phrase slot functioning as the object of the preposition than. Than introduces the prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb of comparison. Harder is an adjective phrase. It follows a be verb, so it functions as a predicate adjective. Our be verb is a main verb. It has tense, it's present tense. And here is our predicate, a verb phrase functioning as predicate. Is harder than killing time. Now, example, moving on to the left, writing sentences, a noun phrase functioning as the direct object of the transitive verbal writing. And here we have another gerund phrase in a noun phrase slot. This one functions as subject. A gerund phrase can fill any noun phrase slot. And here's a sentence wherein the gerund phrase has a subject. When a gerund phrase has a subject, the subject takes the genitive or possessive form. So we have Max's is a proper genitive noun. Studying is a verb that has been subordinated into the gerund, into a verbal by the ing. Grammar is a noun. Night is a noun. And is a conjunction. Day is a noun. Is, here we have is driving. This is auxiliary be. And driving is the present participle of the verb drive. Me is a personal pronoun, and crazy is an adjective. All right, moving from right to left, crazy is an adjective phrase functioning as an object complement because me is a noun phrase functioning as the direct object of is driving. So that makes driving a VC, the two constituents in the predicate. And so is driving, auxiliary be plus the present participle, gives us the progressive aspect. So the tense is present, and we have the progressive aspect. So our main verb, the status of the main verb is present progressive. And here we have a verb phrase functioning as predicate. Moving on to the left, night and day is a noun phrase functioning as an adverb of duration. Grammar is a noun phrase functioning as the direct object of the transitive verbal studying. Now, since we have a subject here, we're going to have a partial predicate. And our noun, Max's is the noun phrase functioning as the subject. And then we have our gerund phrase in the noun phrase slot functioning as the subject. So here in this sentence, we have both the subordinating ing forming a gerund and the inflectional suffix ing forming a present participle. And if Max's were replaced by a pronoun, it would be replaced by the possessive pronoun his. Now let's look at present and past participle phrases, all of which function as adjectives. This first sentence is slightly modified from the textbook. I want answers falling from the sky. And who doesn't? I is a personal pronoun. Want, a verb. Answers, a noun. Falling is a verb in the present participle form. From, a preposition. The, determiner. Sky, noun. The sky, noun phrase, functioning as object of the preposition from. This prepositional phrase functions as an adverb of source. And falling, all that follows it is an adverb, so it's an intransitive verb, and it introduces the present participle phrase that functions as an adjective. Now this patterns with the noun answers. And so answers is the head of the larger noun phrase, answers falling from the sky, that functions as the direct object of the transitive verb want. And we have a main verb in the present tense. And so here is our verb phrase functioning as predicate. And I, noun phrase functioning as subject. The phrase falling from the sky is formed by deleting the relative pronoun and the be auxiliary from the relative clause that are falling from the sky. So this sentence is derived from the sentence, I want answers that are falling from the sky. Since the relative clause served as an adjective, so does the present participle clause formed from it. Remember, the way it was is the way it is. The same is true for past participle phrases formed from relative clauses with passive verbs. They also function as adjectives. The passive is a common transformation in the English language, and we will explore it in session 11. In the meantime, here's another slightly modified textbook sentence with a past participle phrase. The answers provided in the book fell from the author's brains. All right, moving from left to right. The is a determiner. Answers is a noun. Provided is a transitive verb. You have to take my word for this. The passive voice can be formed only from transitive verbs, VT, VC, or VG. This is a transitive verb, the past participle of a transitive verb. In is a determiner. No, it's a preposition. The is a determiner. Book is a noun. Fell is a verb from preposition. The determiner, authors, genitive noun, brains, noun. Now, moving from right to left, the author's brains, noun phrase, functioning as the object of the preposition from, and the prepositional phrase functions as an adverb of source. Fell is intransitive. It's followed only by an adverb. And it's a main verb in the past tense. And there's a verb phrase functioning as predicate. Now, moving on to the left, the book, another noun phrase, functions as the object of the preposition in. This noun phrase functions as, this prepositional phrase functions as an adverb of place. Provided introduces this past participle phrase that functions as an adjective because it comes from the relative clause, the answers that were provided in the book. And so the answers is the head of the larger noun phrase, the answers provided in the book, which functions as the subject of that predicate. Now, let's finish with parsing tense and auxiliaries. We're finishing with something a little lighter and less confusing, I hope. Tenses and auxiliaries. As noted in Chapter 5, the status of a main verb consists of tense, aspect, and mood. with tense being the minimum requirement. Aspect involves auxiliary be and auxiliary have, and the conditional mood is created by modal auxiliaries. Therefore, we will parse tense and auxiliary as part of the status of the main verb, and not as a separate entity as indicated on page 185. Since the conditional mood is created by a transformation that inserts a modal auxiliary into the main verb, and since a negative verb is created by a transformation that inserts not into the main verb, we will look at conditional and negative sentences along with other transformations in session 11. Here, we will parse some sentences with auxiliary be, auxiliary have, and auxiliary do. When the main verb consists of more than one word, the tense resides in the first word of the verb phrase. And the first word in a multiple word verb phrase is usually, I wanted to say always, but I'm going to refrain, an auxiliary. Auxiliary be plus the present participle creates the progressive aspect, which can occur in either present or past tense. I am planning to run 2 miles every day. I is a personal pronoun. Am is auxiliary be. Planning is a present participle of a verb. To is that infinitive subordinator. Run is a verb. To, this TWO is a determiner. Miles is a noun. Every is a determiner. And day is a noun. Moving from right to left, every day is a noun phrase functioning as an adverb of frequency. 2 miles is a noun phrase, functions as the direct object of run. So that's a transitive verb. To run 2 miles every day, then, is an infinitive phrase in a noun phrase slot functioning as the direct object of am planning. So planning is a transitive verb. Then we have our main verb, present tense, am is present, and progressive aspect, auxiliary be followed by the present participle. Main verb, status, present progressive. So here's our verb phrase functioning as the predicate. And we have I in the noun phrase functioning as subject slot. If this sentence were I was planning to run 2 miles every day, the parsing would remain exactly the same except for the tense of the main verb, which would be past progressive. Remember that numbers and words like every belong to the class of determiners because they quantify. Now let's look at auxiliary have and the perfect aspect. Auxiliary have plus the past participle forms the perfect aspect. I, personal pronoun, have, auxiliary have. Run, verb, past participle. We know that because it's a verb coming after have. The only form of the verb that's going to come after have is the past participle. So you know it's going to be auxiliary have and the past participle. 10 is a determiner, miles is a noun, and this is the determiner, and week is a noun. So this week, a noun phrase functioning as adverb of time. 10 miles, noun phrase functioning as the direct object of our main verb, have run. So this is a transitive verb. And the main verb is present, have is present, and perfect. Auxiliary have followed by the past participle. Present, perfect is the status of our main verb. And that gives us our verb phrase functioning as the predicate. And I, noun phrase, functioning as subject.
Okay. If this sentence were, I had run 10 miles this week, the parsing would be exactly the same except for the main verb, which would be past perfect. And something really nifty here. A main verb may have both progressive and perfect aspect. Only one tense, only one mood, but a main verb can have two aspects. So here we go. Personal pronoun I had been. Okay, so this is auxiliary have, and it's followed by a past participle of auxiliary be, because that's followed by the present participle form of a verb. Only is an adverb of frequency. One time, determiner, 1 mile, one determiner and noun, everyday determiner and noun. Okay, moving from right to left. Everyday, noun phrase, functioning as adverb of frequency. 1 mile, noun phrase, functioning as the direct object of our main verb. So running is a transitive verb. Had been running. The status of our main verb is past. Had is a past form. It's perfect, had been, auxiliary have followed by a past participle. And it's also progressive, auxiliary be followed by a present participle. So past, perfect, progressive is the status of our main verb. And there is our verb phrase, functioning as the predicate, and I is our noun phrase, functioning as subject. So a main verb may have both progressive and perfect aspect. If the sentence were, I have been running only 1 mile every day, the parsing would be exactly the same except for the main verb, which would be present perfect progressive. Auxiliary do, besides other functions that will come to light in session 11, can be used for emphasis. So let's parse a sentence with auxiliary do. I do run 2 miles every day now. Ha. Okay, I, personal pronoun, do, auxiliary do. Run is our verb. To, determiner, miles, noun. Every, determiner. Day, noun. Now, adverb of time. Every day, noun phrase, functioning as adverb of frequency. 2 miles, noun phrase, functioning as direct object of our verb do run, so that's a transitive verb. And the only descriptor in the status for the main verb is present. Do does not provide aspect. It doesn't do anything but hold the tense and express emphasis. And of course, I is our noun phrase, functioning as the subject of our verb phrase, functioning as the predicate. Do run 2 miles every day now. After auxiliary do and modal auxiliaries, the verb takes the infinitive form. Auxiliary do is an expletive. That's a term introduced in a question to discuss on page 186, and it means a word used to fulfill to fill a syntactic vacancy. Its only function is to hold the tense of the main verb. Well, I'm sure this has been enough parsing to make you dizzy. I know it's made me dizzy. Review your parsings from this session before looking over your assignment. As you contemplate these video lectures and work through your assignment, be sure to post all of your questions to the Session 9 Parsing Q&A on the discussion board. Instead of finishing Chapter 6 on transformations in Session 10, we're going to take a break from syntax and cover semantics for 2 reasons. I'm sure you need a break from grammar to let the syntax sink in. 2, we need to combine semantics with syntax in order to perform transitivity analyses when we get to the final and most enjoyable unit of the course, the application of linguistics to literature through stylistic analysis. In Session 11, we'll review the transformations that subordinate clauses and subordinate clauses and create phrases. We'll revisit auxiliaries in conjunction with the forming of the conditional mood, and we'll explore expletive it and their transformations, as well as those that create negation, questions and the interrogative mood, the imperative mood, and the ubiquitous passive voice. It's everywhere. Knowing what's ahead, I'm sure you'll appreciate the semantic break even more. Well, the Unit 2 exam is included in Session 10 with the study of semantics, so don't relax too much. Thank you for your attention and your effort. Keep on parsing, both practice and homework, and I'll be checking the parsing Q&A frequently.